All right, come on, gather in, gather in. Let's talk about A Quiet Place Part 2, all right? All right, let's talk about it. Okay, so going into this movie, I felt like this was probably an unnecessary sequel. I thought that the last one led out to be like this good standalone kind of just middle-of-the-road horror movie that I enjoyed quite a lot, that I thought did a really good job of being suspenseful and all that stuff, but I thought it didn't really need a sequel. Yes, it left things off open, very open, like teasing a sequel, but I don't know. In my mind, I always viewed A Quiet Place as being very standalone. But here we are, here's the sequel. And with that, I gotta say that I enjoyed the hell out of this, I gotta say. I really, really did. I thought it was very well done. But I still feel like it was unnecessary and didn't really lead anywhere. But let's get into that, let's talk details in a sec, shall we? And also just a warning, this is going to be full of spoilers. Spoiler review here, okay? Is that enough of a warning for you? Yeah, watch out for the spoily boys. Spoily boys. Anyway. So A Quiet Place 2 starts off where the last film left off. Like literally, she cocks the shotgun after killing one of the alien things, whatever the hell they're called, and there we go from there. But before that moment though, we get to see the start of everything before even the events of the first film. Quiet Place Part 2 starts off as kind of a prequel thing where John Krasinski is still alive and we see the actual invasion happening where there's like a comet from the sky and whatever. And with that being said, I thought this scene was super well done and actually like really intense. You see some of it in the trailers where they're driving in the cars down just middle America type of streets where there's like a main street and stuff. That part's in the trailer where the aliens or monsters or whatever the hell we're calling them start to attack. And this was super well done. I liked how it looked like it was kind of handheld. I thought that this would have suited being like a found footage scene. Like maybe it could have suited if John Krasinski was shooting it like because he's watching his kid play baseball. If he was shooting like some camcorder type of footage here, I thought that would have suited. But that's just my own little thing. Apart from that though, I thought that this scene, though well done, again, like the rest of the film for me, kind of felt unnecessary. Like the first film didn't explain where they came from, the monsters or aliens or whatever, and I didn't feel like I needed like an explanation that there's a comet and we see everything and all that. But it did show how sudden everything happened, and it did show, you know, kind of how quickly they adapted to everything, because by the time we get to the events of this film, they're only 400 odd days in, so it's only a little bit more than a year where they have totally completely changed and adapted to their entirely new lives of living in silence. Now with that being said, this film does just as well as the first of being kind of this little experimental thing with sound design and with making awkward moments in the audience where you're trying to crunch on popcorn, but not. Because now there's a monster coming up. They really play with the sound. I absolutely love that about the first, and this one does it just as well. Also, it does the suspense just as well. This is fantastically done when it comes to intense moments. And I really like how they do some of the scenes simultaneously. They'll show some of the characters' like situation going on now here, and then meanwhile, what the other characters are going through at the moment as well, and it will kind of intercut, and the editing is done super well here where it just ramps things up and up and up. It keeps going and it's fucking amazing. It really reminds me of just like, I don't know, kind of your like classic adventure stuff like a Star Wars or whatever, where one character's doing something here and another character's doing something over there, but this was obviously much more of a horror thing. Now that being said, A Quiet Place Part 2 is way more of a survival horror type of thing than the first one. While the first one was more of a straight up horror where it was about the main family just trying to be quiet and stuff, this one feels much more like, I don't know, The Last of Us, The Walking Dead. That stuff felt very reminiscent and familiar here. You could definitely feel those vibes. And with that, I gotta say that some of this movie felt a little bit aimless because of that, actually. This felt very much to me, the whole bulk of the movie felt very much to me like The Walking Dead does. I have similar issues with The Walking Dead, where within the film, though it's done fantastically and I did overall like it, and I'll get into that soon, I did feel like a lot of the plot was just like, okay, now the people are gonna find some sort of safe haven here. Oh, it's the best place we've ever seen in our lives. And then something goes wrong. And then it's fucked and they've got to leave. And then they find another safe haven. It's another safe place. And it's kind of just like the same shit over and over and over. Now, this is a film and it's only the second entry in this series, so it's not quite like The Walking Dead, which just goes on and on and on and on. and on and on and on and on and on and on. But I can feel it going down that way, and I do think that there's going to be a third, A Quiet Place. I mean, the very ending very much leads up to that. It's very much teasing that. I'll get into that soon as well. I would like to see a third, but I don't think I would like to see much more than that, because I feel like it's starting to run out of story a little bit. It's kind of, for me, it just feels like it's going to go too heavily into the Walking Dead continuous storyline type of thing, whereas I think that the first film did a great job of just being this standalone film about this family and their ability to adapt to this new way of life. And yeah, this one, though fantastically done in terms of suspense and all that stuff, I did feel like the plot ran thin just a little bit. And then soon enough, they come across somebody that they knew slightly in the past. They were kind of friends, family friends and stuff, in the actor Cillian, or Cillian. Is it Cillian or Cillian? I never know, but I feel like it's Cillian Murphy. And at first, he's very apprehensive about helping them and everything, but soon enough, you know, he helps them, predictably. And yeah, they find salvation in his this place that he has that's kind of like a factory and stuff. Now, later on, we do find out that he has been keeping his dead wife there, and it feels like it's supposed to be like this big reveal. It's not really. We kind of got the idea. But that being said, I really do like how much character is there within this Cillian Murphy character. He feels like this very deep sort of character that was well thought out. He's kind of this guy who feels guilty about certain things, and he doesn't seem like he was the nicest guy back in the day before the like apocalypse of these movies started, but he feels like he's really trying to be now, and he feels like he has a lot of grief in him and a lot of he's seen a lot, as you can see with the character. He's very rough around the edges nowadays, but he tries to be patient with the deaf girl of the main family, and he tries to communicate with her, and he tries to help and everything. And I don't know, there's something about this guy. I respect this character. Anyway, soon enough, the families venture off into their own little adventures, because the deaf girl discovers a radio signal, and she heads off trying to find the source of this, because she believes people might be out there. The bulk of this film is very much focused on Cillian, or Cillian, pretty sure it's Cillian Murphy, and the young daughter, the deaf girl from the first film. They go off on their own little adventure. It's kind of like The Last of Us. And I love it. That imagery is sick. Just watching them walk down the road with his rifle and everything. It looks awesome. I love that apocalyptic stuff. But then soon enough, they try and find a boat, and they get ambushed by these really dodgy looking motherfuckers. And then there's the best scene of the entire film is here, where they have to deal with that situation while Emily Blunt is dealing with monsters and stuff of her own, the aliens, whatever we're calling them. I forgot what they're called. They're basically just the clickers from The Last of Us, just to bring up another similarity just there. They are basically the same as the clickers from The Last of Us. And yeah, that's the whole part where I was talking about, where the editing is just done super well, showing both of the things going on at once. Anyway, soon enough, they shake these guys off, and they go on a boat, and they go off to an island where that radio signal was coming from. And what do you know? It is a safe haven. There's people. Woo! Wonderful. Yay! And it's just a nice little moment watching these people kind of just actually connect and act like human beings, where they're often not allowed to in the real world with all of the aliens and everything from the A Quiet Place universe. Yeah, they're allowed to be loud, they're having campfires and talking and all this kind of stuff. But soon enough, that next morning, Cillian Murphy discovers that, oh no, one of the aliens followed them onto the island, predictably. And pretty much a bunch of them get killed, and it's all Cillian Murphy's fault. Like, literally, it's all his fault. But anyway, they escape. Meanwhile, Emily Blunt and the son are kind of just... They got ambushed by aliens as well, back in their steel mill factory place where they first met Cillian Murphy nearing the start of the film. And then what goes on from there is, yeah, they fight some of the monsters. Emily Blunt kills one of them. And really, Emily Blunt and the son, and that's it. I was going to say everyone else, but that's kind of it. They kind of got sidelined, if I'm being honest. Like, it feels like Emily Blunt was barely in this movie. She was there, and it kept kind of going back to her every so often, and she was definitely doing some stuff, but like, she didn't have a lot to do, yeah, particularly acting wise. Like, I feel like she kind of maybe had less days of filming or something than some of the other actors. Maybe, I don't know, maybe she was busy. Maybe she's going to be the Invisible Woman, and John Krasinski is going to be the Mr. Fantastic and stuff in Fantastic Four. Maybe they're too busy doing that. Who knows? And Cillian Murphy and the deaf girl also fight their own monster and kill one of the aliens at like the place where the radio signal was coming from. So basically, that's all that happens. And that's kind of my issue with this movie, where a lot happened once you think about like singular events. But once you think about an overall plot, an overarching kind of story, not that much happens. They kind of go from one place and then they go to a couple other places. And that's like the entire story. Also, something that I wanted to point out, a criticism I have, is that there's this one scene early on when they first meet Cillian Murphy where they're like, did you know that the lights that were on, or the fire or whatever it was our dad? Was Lee, I believe is his name, John Krasinski? And he's like, yes, I did, I knew. And they're like, what? And you didn't think about ever coming to save us, to help us? And he looks all guilty. It's like, oh God, what have I done? How did I not do that? And I'm sitting there like, what could you have done anyway? This is like, sure, you've got your steel mill factory place, but like, you weren't that much better off than they were in their own house in the first one. Everyone's kind of in a dangerous situation, as we see in this film. Even that place got attacked, so I don't really see why any of the responsibility is on him, but whatever. But it's definitely his fault that the fucking island got attacked, though, I will say that. But yeah, overall, I reckon this movie was pretty damn fantastic. It was as intense as the first, and it had some fantastic singular scenes there. And I still really like the dynamics between, like, Emily Blunt and her daughter character. And I really enjoy this family. Like, I really want to see them kind of succeed, because they're all kind of these strong people who deserve to survive. It feels like they've earned it. They're working towards it. And I kind of like that about this. They're not idiots. They're not bumbling fools. This is just a genuine family, and I like that about it. One criticism of the first one, I know, because my mum always mentions it whenever I talk about the movie, is that why couldn't they live at the waterfall? And to that I say, because they want to have as a normal life as they possibly can, and so they wanted to cling on to that house for as long as possible. And then obviously John Krasinski's character died in the first one. That's where everything has taken place in the second one, where this film is still very much about grieving, and it's still, you know, for us, it's been a few years. It's been 5 years or so since the first movie came out. So it's like, yeah, okay, we don't feel too much for, you know, we're sad, but it's not like, we're not crying anymore that John Krasinski died in a movie 5 years ago. But for them, this has taken place directly after, basically. For them, it's been like maybe a matter of days. Like, his character has just died. That's fresh in their minds. And so this movie is very much like the first one, about adapting and moving on into this new way of life, basically without him, and with these new sets of skills that they've earned and kind of learned since the first one, like with the hearing aid and the amplifier and everything. And so I kind of did like in this one how it felt like they had upgrades and stuff. It really felt like an old school, maybe like even a video game sequel, where it's like, all right, they know how to deal with these now. And like, so even at the start, they're blasting a few of these aliens away. It's not quite as like, you know, the whole first movie led up to them just killing one. But this one, they killed quite a few in this one. Because they kind of know what they're doing a little bit more. And I did like that, though, that it really did lead in from the first to the second. And I will say that this movie very much feels like a companion piece with that first. It's not an entirely different story where it's like, it doesn't feel too connected or anything. This is very much, you know, you'd pretty much ideally want to watch this two and two apart, like just one after the other. This would make for a great double feature, and I really think that that's pretty much what they've gone for and very much achieved it here. I really like this as a direct sequel. It's not just in the same universe or whatever.
One thing I want to say though, okay, editing here. The end of the first movie ends with a bunch of the new, like, more aliens coming because they shot the gun and made the loud sound. And now, like, tens of them are headed their way, and you see it on the footage and everything they're watching, and that's why she cocks the shotgun at the end, like, oh yeah, I'm ready for this, bitch. And it's like this badass ending. Originally, when I saw this a few years ago in cinemas, I was sitting there like, there's no way she's coming out of this alive. Yeah, sure, they've got the fucking, like, hearing aid thing. They found a little hack, and maybe they can take out a few. But are you fucking kidding me? There were like at least 10 of them or something coming their way. They were going to die right after the fucking credits roll. And when you come into the second one, that is supposed to be a lead into directly after the end of the first, which for the most part, I do think is well done, and like I'd like seeing the continuation, but they really ignore that aspect where there were like a bunch of them headed their way. They do not at all what's the word, like solve that. There's nothing. They just forget about that entirely. They killed the one, then they quietly just walk away. What happened to all the others? I don't know. That's major gripe, but once you get into like the first 5 minutes of the movie, like it really doesn't matter that much, but it's kind of annoying, you know?
That being said, I really like the universe of these films where like they feel really established with their own set of rules, and I do really like that. I just hope that in the next one, if they do make another one, it doesn't, you know, stray too far into being very Walking Dead territory where they just find a safe place and then that gets fucked up and they go to another place, because that's kind of what this movie was a little bit. It was very well done, but I just was hoping for a little bit more to actually happen, if that makes sense. But then again, maybe, you know, you're supposed to watch this movie in more of a way where it's like, it's for the mood. It's for the atmosphere. And I mean, if that's what I'm considering, if that's what you're going in for, it's fantastic. It's a very good film. Maybe I'm just being a little bit nitpicky. But if I am being nitpicky, let's get to the end. I want to talk about the ending here for a second, where I thought that it was very anticlimactic, to be honest. I thought that it really didn't super lead anywhere. Now, this is a problem with apocalyptic movies anyway, okay? Pretty much no apocalyptic movies end well. Not really. Either it's going to be an open ending like the first Quiet Place film where they're just teasing another one, or it's going to be that everyone just dies like a lot of zombie movies that we see, or it's that they've found a safe haven and everything is good again and it's the best and they've saved the day entirely and it's just the happiest ending ever, which I always call bullshit in apocalyptic movies where it's just a happy ending, because come on, fuck you, no it's not. You're probably gonna die tomorrow after the events of this film ends and we just don't see that. Yeah, and I gotta say, this one really led with that first option of endings where it just was very open, very much teasing another one. The ending is basically just that both of the sides of the families kill one of the aliens, and it kind of just ends there. And it's very much like the first one in that it's just an open ending and it's like, oh, where are they going to go now? It tries to be like this badass thing. But for me, it felt a little bit substanceless. Like, it felt like, I don't know, I was just expecting a little bit more from that ending. If they do make another one, I just hope that there is a bit more of a definitive ending, at least when it comes to the emotions of that main family. You know, their arcs end somehow, in some way. I'm not exactly sure what or how, but I would like it to just feel a little bit circular, you know, feel a little bit like there is a complete chapter there, something that's actually been told, rather than just watching these people survive for a bit and then the movie just ends, which so far is how 1 and 2 have ended. But then again, I guess if they make up for that in the third, and then that one feels very much like a triple feature type of thing, another direct sequel, and everything comes full circle in that third, I could definitely forgive this, because again, it was all very well done and I did enjoy it. I just thought maybe a little bit more could have been done story-wise. But again, maybe I'm nitpicky. Maybe you're supposed to just enjoy how it is while it lasts and stuff. You're not supposed to think about how it's going to end too much. I guess that's up to opinion. I thought that A Quiet Place 2 was a very well done, very patient survival horror that really fed me what I wanted. That sounds like a strange sentence to say. It gave me what I wanted. Gave me? It was good. That's a good sentence, isn't it? It was very tense at times. It was like there were a lot of jump scares and stuff going on, but not in like a cheap, shitty horror movie kind of way. This felt more respectable. This was very artfully done, looks fantastic, very cinematic and all that stuff. I love that this is kind of like a middle ground, mid-budget kind of horror movie that's a big blockbuster as well, though. Like, I love that these are kind of getting popular and everything, and that this is more of a straight-up old classic feeling sequel. It's not something that feels like it's setting up an entire franchise or anything. These are just good films by themselves, and that's about it. It's really as simple as that. And yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I didn't think it went everywhere that I wanted it to go. I did think it could have had a stronger ending, and I don't know, there are a few choices in there that I didn't absolutely love, but I thought it was pretty fantastic, and that's about all. That's all I have to say. So, yeah. Get out of here now. Thanks for watching, and do the things. You know what the things are. Like and comment and share and subscribe. Just do the things that the YouTubers say, okay? Catch me next time.